Oh my God. This place is completely gone. Everything. Another coal mine gone. It's the third one on this road. Unbelievable. I don't think that place has been open for a long time. Nope. That's what happens when companies move overseas. When things we used to do well are no longer needed. It's hard to thrive when you're not making anything except a bunch of hot air. I've spent years driving around the country documenting our nation's decline. When you see all this up close, well, it's pretty clear that we are no longer the world power we once were. The following hour is going to be a real painful look at some of the places I've seen up and close. I found it fascinating, and I'm sure you're going to be into it. YouTube has become a place that people go to see misery, despair, and suffering. Now, I saw a lot of rundown in the Deep South. This area has all kinds of economic challenges. There's a bunch of poverty and so much abandoned in our southern states. And what I saw was just a teeny bit of what's down here. This is Pine Bluff, Arkansas. And man, was this a real stunner. I spent a month driving around the Deep South, looking at the good and the bad in the spring of 2023. And this was clearly a bad day. I don't think I've ever seen a city this big with an entire downtown that's so empty. Pine Bluff's population's dropping so fast that the signs can't even keep up. On the north end of town, the welcome sign has one population, and then the sign coming in on the south side of town has a different population. They're both wrong. Now, it was in Pine Bluff that I first talked about NAFTA. You know, the free trade agreement that was signed into law by Bill Clinton, who is ironically the former governor of Arkansas. The new trade law was supposed to make trade better by making it easier for North American countries to relocate out of the country, save money. Well, they relocated all right out of the USA. Bunch of companies left places like Pine Bluff, and then they went downhill. Jobs were lost and people got broke. This hotel is right next to a nightclub that used to house big-time acts like Kenny Chesney, Alan Jackson, Toby Keith, Vince Gill. Elvis even stayed in that hotel once. They burned the whole place down. Damn. It's right on the side of the highway. The mall's completely gone here. Well, I think all malls are disappearing across the country, though, right? Doesn't look like they'll be playing baseball here anytime soon. Man. About 200 miles south of Pine Bluff is the dying city of Shreveport, Louisiana. It's actually been called the unhappiest place in the country before. All over Shreveport, there's pockets of former this and former that. As you probably know, Louisiana's made its fortunes on oil. But the refineries here have made and unmade this place. It was a big oil boom in the 60s down here. So a bunch of people moved here and they drilled, baby, drilled. A lot of drilling. People made a lot of money down here and life was good. Until it wasn't. What goes up comes down. The price of oil came crashing down by 2/3 in the 80s. So all the banks and big companies like GM started shutting down, and people got broke, and, well, a lot of people left for Texas. At one point, Shreveport was the fastest shrinking city in the U.S. It's just abandoned. Look at all this empty land downtown. And there's no one buying any of it. we're seriously 2 blocks from downtown. Crazy. There is so much overgrown here. Sometimes it's hard to tell if somebody lives in a house. And then other times, it's easy to tell nobody lives there. But a lot of the worst parts of Shreveport are dark and gloomy, really dangerous. You can't tell if people are peering from behind the shrubs or the stained windows. It's very intimidating, I have to say. Big D's. What's D stand for?
Darnell.
Darnell?
Yes, sir.
What's going on with all the knuckleheads shooting people around here?
Just ignorant, uneducated. 90% of that is uneducation. Not educated. A person not educated is more subject to get in trouble than an educated person. You don't educate your kids, you can expect trouble down the line.
How much do I owe you for that sandwich?
$12.
All right. Hey guys, so for the last couple of weeks there's been a lot of talk about election fraud and how our personal information can be used to vote on our behalf. Happens all the time. Well, what do you think they're going to do with the rest of your information? It's out there. Our information is out on the web for anybody to get. Just not too long ago, a couple months ago, a third of us had our personal information taken in a massive data leak online. And it's not just your name and address. It's your phone number, credit history, it's your relatives' personal information, their credit history. It's all out there for anybody to get. There's no telling what shady people from China or Russia are going to do with your personal information. Things that you can't even imagine. That's why it's important to make sure your data is not hosted by these data broker websites in the first place. That's where Delete Me, the sponsor of this video, comes in. Now, Delete Me's been around for years now, and they offer a service that removes your sensitive data from hundreds of online data brokers. Now, I've been a Delete Me customer for almost a year now, and look at all the websites they've found my personal information on and removed. Every time I check my monthly report, I'm grateful I use Delete Me. It's peace of mind. Delete Me removes personal information from data broker databases and secures information like names, addresses, phone numbers. For around $100 a year, they take care of everything. You can opt out to get your information from these data broker websites, but it's hard to do it on your own. It's just so tedious and labor intensive. Now you guys should try Delete Me. Go to joindeleteme.com/Nick Johnson and use Nick Johnson for a 20% discount That's joindeleteme.com/Nick Johnson, promo code Nick Johnson. I also put a QR code there on the screen. Hold your phone up to it, it'll take you right to it. I also put a link in the description. Try Delete Me. You're going to love it. You're going to need it. Don't be one of a million people that's going to be an identity theft victim this year. Thanks, Delete Me, for sponsoring this part of the video. It just looks like the end of the world in here. And then there's Jackson, and probably the most rundown place in the country. What the fuck? There's big parts of Jackson that are just ruined. Everywhere you go in Jackson, it's completely run down. It's the roads, buildings. They have issues keeping the water on here. And the trash delivery, it's hit and miss. The problems here started in the 70s when Mississippi desegregated their schools. A lot of people didn't like that. So the wealthy families, they took their kids out to the burbs. And this place just went downhill. And from what I can see, it's just getting worse. Everywhere. This is America. There's less than 150,000 people in Jackson now. Population here has gone down 25% since 1990 alone. There's other cities that have seen hard times. Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Detroit. But those cities have a lot going on for them. They seem to be kind of making a recovery. There's hope there. Progress. Not here at all. I've never seen anything like this before. This kid's going to school. This is unbelievable right here. Right on the main drag. There's nothing left. The entire city. You can't even drive. Like, look at this. Every block, trash, the roads, burned out houses. The Rust Belt. Much has been written and documented about this economic freefall. A lot of our cities along the Great Lakes region were once important for manufacturing, and now they're just wasting away. I've visited many of our Rust Belt towns, and there's videos on all of them. Oh, these roads don't look like they... One's been down here for a while. It's kind of a free-for-all in Gary. No playground. Now, of course, everybody knows about Gary, Indiana. It's like the most well-known abandoned city in this region. There's tens of thousands of abandoned buildings here. Most of Gary's downtown is gone, gone, gone. I don't think I saw anything in Gary's downtown that wasn't impacted by an economic collapse. I mean, you start to just get immune to it at some point. Like, you just don't even really... It's just everywhere. And you don't even really stop and look anymore. Old hospital. Damn, even the Popeyes? It's messed up. Not Popeyes. We'll be back. None of the stoplights even work. Anywhere. God, it's so sketchy out here. Okay, so I've seen a lot of crazy stuff in my day. I turned down a street out here, and there's probably 20 houses on this block. This entire block is gone. I've never seen anything like this before. It looks like it's been looted and left for dead. This place is messed up. I'm probably 2 miles from downtown right now, and you can see that they've had so many people out here looting that there's signs up. That doesn't seem to matter. But all of these houses are gone. And it's like this citywide, but I don't think I've ever seen an entire cul-de-sac wiped away before. It reminds me of when I was in California, you'd see wildfires going through and you'd see entire neighborhoods gone. But this isn't from a fire. This is from a loss of jobs and loss of an economy. This is America. This is happening right here. Gary, Indiana. Sunday morning. It's really cold, 52 degrees, cold wind coming off the lake. And Gary was a steel powerhouse. You knew that. There were so many well-paying jobs in the steel plants in town. And then when the 70s came, all of a sudden, the steel industry was all kinds of messed up. The U.S. went into a big depression because there was an oil crisis. So the demand for steel plummeted. We just weren't buying cars or appliances or even houses as much. So the steel plants here laid everybody off. Furnaces went dark. Only one steel plant in Gary is still operating, and that's it right there. Living there? Holy shit. It's like this whole part of town is just gone. There's a few people left. Just former factories and former important stuff. It's not important anymore. I'm gonna try to see if I can take a quick peek inside this building. Looks like there's a door. Pray for me, YouTube. Holy shit. Hello. Well, it's pretty clear. This has not been used in a long time. God. And it is like this everywhere in this city. Make sure nobody's coming. All right, we got a minute or so. But man, this entire city looks like this. Just former this, former that. Who knows what has gone on in here in the last 50 years. This is what we're starting to look like in a lot of places. Okay, I didn't die. Every block in Gary has something missing or neglected. Sometimes it's the whole block or an entire section of town. I don't think these factories are ever going to come back. That's pretty clear. We have overseas manufacturing in China now. Plus there's changes in technology. And of course we have all the illegal immigrants coming in who will work for lower wages. When you look at all this, you kind of wonder, could we turn this around if we made it sensible for big companies to come back and open up again? But we don't. We tax the hell out of companies, and all these regulations make it just a stupid decision. Why would they come back here, right? Plus, they want $40 an hour to run machines. The Chinese kids, they do it for a bowl of rice. When I was here, they told me that there were 13,000 abandoned buildings here. They're trying to get a bunch of this torn down, but it's been a slow process.
They have sold the American people out. This ain't America. This is America. You call this the land of the free? Free for who? The rich?
Now I have an entire video about Detroit that you can watch. Everybody knows about what happened here. This was one of the richest places in the country in the 1950s, where everybody had a good job and a great middle-class life. Until the car makers left. They were making cheaper cars over in Asia that got better gas mileage. That's the old Highland Park High School. Off in the distance is the old Henry Ford plant. Everything on that block's gone or half gone. But free Obamacare. Well, that's good. Well, if that ain't America for you. Of course, you and I, we're the problem too. Americans want cheap crap. We don't mind if it's on Amazon, made in China, or made in Japan, or Indonesia, Pakistan. This is just crazy. This is all gone. This entire part of town. There is nothing left. Streets are here. There's still power poles with cameras. But all the houses are gone. There's nothing left. What are you guys doing? Get in that trash. Go home. Go and get. Detroit had almost 2 million people at one point. Now they're struggling to stay at 500,000 today. Just like over in Gary, they're trying to tear down a lot of this stuff, but they just can't keep up. As you can imagine, a lot of this attracts criminals and drug users. It's just a mess out in Detroit. But you can get a house here for $60K if you really wanted to. Some of these houses are worth $500.
That's America. We say this the wilderness of North America. That's America. I don't think that's a Detroit or a Michigan problem. That's a America problem. You know, that's something we would have to take to, you know, the commander-in-chief, you know, the president, you know. That's something they could rid of. You know, a lot of that stems from poverty, lack of, you know.
These are all houses. And now it's just ghetto in the woods. But there's a forest that's starting to grow back here amongst the trash. There's a one-way street in here. I don't think it matters. The only signs of life is garbage. We're the richest country in the world, but we give away all of our money to other nations. Are we ever going to put America first again? One of the most shockingly abandoned areas in the country, that's in East Cleveland, another Rust Belt town. Look at this mess. Other cities up here crashed and burned because of a loss of jobs. That really wasn't the case in East Cleveland. It started out with government corruption, and then a lot of people left, so the place kind of started to go downhill. So more people left, and then the crime got worse, and then more people left, and then the bad reputation spread. So the only people that wanted to move here were crackheads and gangs and poor people. So more people left.
I cannot even see them. Oh my god.
As you know, Appalachia land is some of the dreariest this country has. I spent a bunch of time in Kentucky and West Virginia in the winter of 2022. And man, is this place bad. Of the 25 poorest counties in the country, 9 are here in eastern Kentucky. There's hardly anyone here anymore. Population's 18,000, and that includes the prison population, which is about 1,500 inmates. There aren't any actual cities here, just places. The biggest place here has 1,200 people. It's so rural here that I think I heard there's like 8 stoplights in the whole county. And without all the coal mines, well, they don't have much in these parts in terms of jobs. Stuff's just closed down everywhere you go in this part of Kentucky. I lost count of the number of former gas stations or restaurants or mom and pops or whatever else these places once were. A lot of these abandoned buildings looks like somebody just walked away. The building is just slowly collapsing. It's not really dangerous at all in this part of Kentucky, but there's a lot of drugs back here, and that leads to lots of property crimes.
But you just do the best you can every day, you know. Just take it with a grain of salt. Hope you do good. And that's just it.
They tell me that a lot of the factories have dropped their standards as far as drug testing and things like that. Maybe they're not as strict on some policies. I can't verify that, but just to try to get employees. So I'd like to say, yeah, jobs would really help us, but I'm not sure that you could fill very many jobs. I don't know that there's that much available labor. So it's a sad, kind of a sad thing to start thinking about and working through those situations. It's tough.
Now you might look at all this and think, these poor people, but this is how they want to live. Out in the country, away from you and me. The heart wants what the heart wants. I can zoom in on that. Now I've done an entire series of videos about the decline of West Virginia. You should watch those. Just like down in Kentucky, it was the loss of coal jobs up here that wrecked the place. But up here, it's been way worse. I mean, that's all these people had to rely on for decades. There's just nothing else going on up here. So, for what seems like as far back as anyone can remember, the twisty roads and the mountain towns have been eroding away. Coal mines were jamming here, you knew that. And then the 70s came, and they began to shut down. Technology changed. The politics changed. So the jobs left, and with them went pensions and health care coverage. This county once had 120,000 people. Now there's 20,000 people. And everyone here is scratching their heads. How can we replicate the success we once had? There used to be 30 Methodist churches in the county. Now there's 6. There were 7 bars in this little town. All but one closed. The movie theaters, the community centers, the grocery stores, the mom and pops, all gone. Even Walmart left years ago, and that put a big void in this place. I hear people were stealing so much, the Walmart here just had to shut its doors down. I read the employees were the ones stealing the most. And as you know, it's super poor back here, and the drug use is just crippling. A lot of people are unhealthy, and it's just not a very enthusiastic place anymore. I've seen a lot of river towns that time seems to have forgotten. Up and down our waterways, we have cities that were important for transportation hubs, but never found a way to transition to a new economy. St. Joseph, Missouri's seen far better days. I went there in the summer of 2022 as part of a big Midwest road trip. St. Joseph has 75,000 people today, and I bet you've never even heard of it. Come here. St. Joseph was a big deal Missouri river town. This was the start of the Pony Express, which went all the way to California. All the river boats and trains would stop here and load and unload stuff. But over time, the place became obsolete. We just don't use trains and boats for moving goods like we used to. So, all the old banks and merchants and businesses just kind of went away. And with them went the stockyards and the steel makers and the brick makers. Just about everybody's gone from this part of town. They say 75% of downtown St. Joseph is gone now. And then you go 300 miles south of that, you come to one of the most famous abandoned river towns, Cairo, Illinois. Cairo is this little teeny place right along the Missouri-Kentucky border. Cairo was rich back in the day. There were wealthy merchants and giant mansions where bankers and business people lived. Cairo was doing so well, people said, you know what, this should be the capital of the USA. I mean, it's centrally located, and it's so important for shipping and commerce. Well, that did not happen. At one point, they got to 20,000 people. That was in the 1940s. Now there's 2,000 people here. There were 22 kids that graduated from the high school in town last year. It's a lot of farmers who lost their land to the banks, and a lot of people who were like, you know what? Why even look for work? What's the point? I don't want that low-paying job that nobody else wants. I ain't driving 45 minutes to work. Cairo's an industrial relic, a live ghost town in progress. And then there's the Mississippi Delta. The worst of it's way down here. The Delta is this region along the Mississippi River. They used to be a really big deal for agriculture. Cotton, mostly. At one point, this area was rich. But there's very little money here anymore now. I drove around the Delta for 3 days on a trip once, and I was like, damn, people. Everything here, small towns, neighborhoods, the main streets, it's crumbling away year by year. Just about every place here looks like it's been spiraling downwards since the mid-1900s. As far as I know, there's nothing being done to turn things around. Down here, it started with the loss of farming jobs. Technology replaced workers. They say for every tractor bought into the Delta, 8 jobs were gone for good. So a lot of the middle-class black families, they went up north looking for work. They went to places like Detroit and Cleveland to build cars, which, as we've seen, eventually didn't work out for them either. But most of the people who are left don't want to do whatever farming jobs are left anyways. Or they can't do it. The farmers here have to bring in workers from overseas to manage the crops and the machinery. So you've got this whole area surrounded by farmland, and ain't nobody here can work the fields. School's gone. Dang. The schools here are closing down, and they can't get teachers to come down here and work. It's hard to get doctors and nurses to come down here because the pay's so crummy. It's cheap down here, and there's clearly a lot of available land. It's just that nobody wants to invest in the place. Even the catfish farms had provided some jobs, but China beats us at that now too. We're buying Chinese catfish when we can just grow it right down in Mississippi. How many times am I going to say China in this video anyways? Even though this region is really bleak looking and just absolutely poor, most of the people down here seemed content.
A lot of businesses, and it's just a wonderful place. I grew up around on these streets here, and it's a nice place to be. My name is Michael, and that's all I can say. Catfish capital of the world, bro.
Ain't too much done changed, It's just that it ain't many people in here as it used to be, but it's still the Delta. It's all right. I wouldn't go nowhere else.
We travel a lot. I go to a lot of big cities, and I see all the problems in the big
I
cities.
don't like the big cities. I don't. I've been there. I'm a truck driver, so I go all over. So I'd rather stay right here. Yeah.
So this place clearly has seen better days. I think there used to be a lot more people than what's here now. It's just another example of the Bust Belt. Times sure are tough in the Panhandle if you turn corners. Texas sure is booming, isn't it? I mean, that's all you hear about. The Great Migration to the Great Lone Star State. Well, not up here it isn't. I spent 3 days exploring the Texas Panhandle as part of a Texas road trip I did in 2023. I kept hearing about how these towns up here are fading away, so I crisscrossed around and checked the whole area out. And most of the places I went to are just gone. This place was important, and now it's literally a place that trucks just drive through. Just look at a population map, and you can see how bad the decline is in the Texas Panhandle. Almost every county up here is dropping fast. Some of these small towns had thousands of people. Today, there's just a few hundred left. But nobody really knows how many people are in town until the next census comes out. Here is another town. Flags are flying. Juan, Texas. And there is nothing going on here. But I mean, they got the flags out. But everything is closed. The old flower store, whatever that was. Whatever that was. Clint's Bits and Spurs. I don't think that's right. Maybe 20 years ago at 5:45. The big change in the Panhandle is from a loss of farms and oil production. The farming jobs down here, they're going away for a lot of reasons. Old-time farmers retire, and their kids don't want to do this crap. So the land gets gobbled up by corporate farms. And then, of course, you have technology, which means you don't need as many farm hands. So, less farmers, less people. All the businesses that supported the farms, they leave. And the equipment companies, the feed stores, the banks, restaurants, gas stations, they go too. Now, I call this part of Texas the Bust Belt because the oil production went bust here. They still have some little mini booms, but it ain't like it used to be down here. A lot of these jobs are automated now. And, we're not drilling for oil as much as we used to because of electric cars. This whole area has been through a lot. Great Depressions, tornadoes, dust bowls, engine raids. Looks like all those challenges have really taken a toll on the place. Every place up here looks the same. Jobs leave, shit changes, and people move on. So right now we're in Headley, Texas, a little small town that's seen some better days. Same thing you see in all these towns you go to. You've got a loss of jobs, loss of people, and a lot of people don't want to come back here, even though it's a lot safer and more affordable than a lot of the big cities. There's just not a lot to do around here. And one by one, folks are taking off out here in the rural Texas panhandle on a late afternoon in mid-November. A lot of these cities, when somebody moves away or dies, there's not a person to replace them. And one day, a lot of these places won't be here at all. We're watching in real time, everybody. Former great U.S. cities and regions just fade away, 1 year at a time. Who's to blame? The leaders who couldn't fix this, or the people who live here who couldn't fix it themselves? Probably both. But either way, there aren't a lot of big companies opening up here anymore. No big giant corporations are going to come save these places. They're gone for good. Off to Asia. All for money. Companies want profits. And we want cheap. And it's a damn shame that we look like this and we give away billions of dollars to other countries to fix their mess. That's like putting a new roof on your neighbor's house when your house is leaking. It's silly that we do that. Doesn't make sense. Now you could look at all this and say, man, look at our past. But a lot of you are going to say, shoot, this is our future. Are you looking to move and need advice? I do consulting. That's right. I'll sit down and talk about where the next perfect place for you and your family should be. I do it all the time. Together, let's find you a new home that's safe and checks all your boxes. And I can also help you find your new house, too. Email me and I'll work with you on not just helping you figure out where to move, but I can help you find your perfect home, too. That's right. I know awesome, reliable agents all over the country. And I'd love to connect you to somebody who can help you search for that perfect home. And if you want to buy some Mappy gear, click the store link on my homepage. From there, you can check out the latest merch. There's hoodies, coffee cups, stickers, and shirts. Show off how much you love Mappy and support the channel. And I'm on Cameo too. If you want me to send you or somebody you know a personalized video message, go to Cameo and search Nick Johnson YouTube. It's fun. Hey guys, if you learned something new about America or what it's like to live in America, great. You should think about subscribing and turning on your notifications. You can also click one of these videos or playlists for more.
Hey YouTube world, I'm Sage, Nick's manager. You've enjoyed a Corner House Entertainment production, so watch another one.